Football's back.
Darn right it is. And right now we're glad to have with us Bears blogger Russ Loede joining us. Russ, it's great to have you in. Welcome. And right off the bat, let's talk about Jay Cutler. He's going to be a bookend conversation, if you will. He was sacked 52 times last season. The O-line is an issue this season for the team. Can the Bears O-line keep Cutler upright this coming season?
That's a great question, and a lot of the Bears' success hinges on the play of their offensive line. They drafted Gabe Carimi out of Wisconsin this past first round, and he seems to be entrenched as a starter on the right side of the line. But protecting Jay Cutler's line side is last year's seventh-round pick, Jamarcus Webb. He leaves much to be desired, and I'm not too confident with him protecting Cutler. Overall, you switch out Olin Kreutz, place in Roberto Garza, who started at right guard the past 5-6 years for the Bears. He's now snapping the ball to Cutler. Overall, the offensive line is one of their weaknesses, but it seems like the continuity that has been helping the Bears this preseason, especially shown last night's game against the Giants, only giving up one sack, will help Cutler this season to stay more upright. And I got to believe they're not going to give up 52 sacks like they did last year. And I think they're going to improve overall.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, Cutler doesn't need any more issues. I mean, his wedding was called off to that Hill star. You know, he needs to be healthy. As Russ Loede joins us, I had to throw that TMZ moment in. You know me. Russ Loede is editor and contributor for NFL Gridiron Gab.com, joining us on the Southeastern Sports Medicine Wise Line. Seth, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask Russ about looking, especially the preseason game last night at the wide receiver position. You see a lot of guys, the balls that Cutler was throwing looked to be on time, but guys just aren't catching them, and that's been, basically the bugaboo for the whole Cutler era with the Bears is not having any weapons. And I don't know. I'm looking at it. I'm okay with Roy Williams being there. They still got Devin Hester. I love Johnny Knox, but it's going to take maybe one of these other guys coming out of the woodwork to actually step up and catch the football. And the only guy that it seemed to be doing that last night was Dane Sanzenbacher. First of all, what do you think about Sanzenbacher, and who are some other wide receivers that might finally be able to get the job done?
I've been very impressed with Sanzenbacher. Followed his career at Ohio State, kind of like an Austin Collie clone. Solid receiver in Indianapolis. I believe he's going to make the team as the sixth receiver. They're going to hold Sam Hurd as the fifth. He's more of a special teams player, going to fill the void left by Rasheed Davis. But I believe Sanzenbacher will make the team, and we're going to see him this year. I mean, we saw Mark Ferry from the Lions and Mike Martz's system get over 1,000 yards. Martz has been known to make those good, quick slot guys productive in his system. As far as the Bears' rest of the receiving crew, Earl Bennett last year only dropped one pass. Very reliable third down possession receiver for Cutler in the slot. Knox, like you said, I like him a lot as a deep play threat, has the speed, came to training camp 10 pounds more muscle. Devin Hester has been opening eyes. I expect him to continue to improve during his transition to receiver. I think the most sketchy receiver could be Roy Williams. Said he's out of shape, so that's going to be an issue until he does get back into game shape. And then he dropped a potential first down on a third down and 7 first series for the Bears. I mean, he didn't really look too good last night, but overall for the Bears, they trade away Greg Olsen. Tight end's not a big player in Martz's system, but I think the pass catchers for the Bears, though they're not elite, they're good enough to make Jay Cutler look good. And don't forget about Matt Forte. Last season, he had over 50 catches.
And, I want to ask a question about the defense, because watching the highlights or lowlights of last night's game against the Giants, the Bears, known for their tenacious defense over the years, and I realize it's just a couple of games into preseason football, but 41 points they get hung on them by the Giants last night. I want to know, Brian Urlacher, who seemed to have a great return last year after an injury-plagued year the year before, Is Urlacher and the defense going to rise up and make the Bears competitive defensively this year?
Yeah, I have to believe so. The Bears overall, their defensive unit is based on pressure from the defensive front. They picked up Okoye from the Texans, drafted Stephen Paye out of Oregon State. They beef up the inside. Henry Melton's the guy that's making the biggest waves in training camp, bulked up to 292 pounds. Former Bear Tommy Harris compared him to an explosive John Randall. High praise Don't know if he's a Randall-type player because Randall's a Hall of Famer, but you get the sense there. Overall, Julius Peppers, Israel Adonijah on the ends. The defensive line's looking really good. Urlacher and Briggs are going to give you what they usually do. The thing is, the secondary is going to be the one spot where I'm really looking at. Last night, Major Wright had a big whiff on Brandon Jacobs. He's the new starter at safety next to Chris Harris. Don't know too much what to expect out of him. I mean, he has the athleticism and the speed, but is he going to be able to make plays on a consistent basis and especially wrap up in the open field? At cornerback, Charles Tillman, they're still looking for his starter. It's either going to be Tim Jennings or Zachary Bowman. It's all signs are pointing towards Jennings. But overall, for the Bears defense, everything's based on their front four pressure, and Rod Marinelli's the defensive line guru, has the line playing well. Now all we need is the Bears to have another healthy season like they did last year, and I think the defense will be up there around top 5, top 7 range this season.
Russ Loede joining us, editor and contributor for NFL GridironGab.com. It's a great read, our NFL 4-wide feature featuring the Chicago Bears, of which Russ blogs on. Before we let you go, Jay Cutler, I caught a lot of grief big time when I really came down on Cutler just for the way he was handling being injured and taken out of the game against Green Bay, the final game of the season for the Bears. Here's my problem with Cutler. I want to get your take on it. He's a bit polarizing at times. Sometimes he looks disinterested, and he looks like a guy that people just can't get up and follow. In other words, he doesn't have, that type of capacity that, say, a guy like Brady, a Manning, and Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers. You can go down Roethlisberger, go down the line. How are Bears fans handling the whole Cutler situation from last year, and are they behind him all the way coming into this season?
I mean, I definitely have to believe they're behind him. I am. For one, Brian Urlacher came out last year supporting Jay Cutler, coming to his side. He's the leader of the Bears, and Urlacher says it how it is. He's gonna go. He's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you the truth. So when you have your team leader, Brian Urlacher, behind you, I think Bears fans should follow the same lead of Urlacher and support their quarterback. Cutler's the most talented quarterback since Eric Kramer, the most decorated since, say, Jim McMahon. So with Cutler, he has all the talent in the world. I know body language is a questionable thing, but I've read some articles lately that Jay Cutler, he does do some charitable work in the off season. He does work out with his teammates, and he likes them. But it's just some of the stuff he doesn't want to let out. And sometimes he gets that perception that he's a guy that doesn't care about helping out his teammates, seen last year on the sideline in the championship game when they inserted Caleb Haney for him. But in terms of that, I mean, it only goes so far. You got to go to the players to find out if it's true or not. And I don't really think it's that big of an issue in terms of toughness. Him missing the game last year, I mean, Jay Cutler's as tough as they come, taking all those sacks, those hits, especially Week 4 Sunday night in the Meadowlands against the Giants. I'm not going to question his toughness. Overall, I think the one thing the Bears are going to have to do is corral Cutler in terms of just limiting the picks, which he did last year, 16, opposed to his first year with the Bears where he had 26. So Cutler just needs to work on his mechanics, which Mike Martz was praised him pretty much this offseason for getting in shape and working on his footwork. So maybe we see this year the interceptions cut down, some better decision-making. And if that happens for Cutler, like I said, he has all the talent in the world. He could become one of the top 10 quarterbacks this year, which is reasonable in that debate.
Boy, I can't penetrate you guys. Good work, Russ, man. We appreciate you very much. And, yeah, we'll follow the progress. No doubt about that. Hey, we appreciate you. Hope to catch up again real soon, my friend.
All right. Looking forward to it.
You got it. Thanks. That's Russ Loede, editor and contributor for NFL GridironGab.com. He blogs on the Chicago Bears, our NFL 4-wide feature, rolling right along. So we'll look forward to tomorrow as well. You know, it's funny, too, and I think Tommy Jackson a while back from ESPN kind of said the same thing. You know, you mentioned Brian Urlacher, did Russ. There's a leader. You know, it's like, well, Brian Urlacher's standing up, and that's the thing that gets me with Cutler.
I wouldn't want to piss off Brian Urlacher either.
No, and maybe, you know, it's just impression, and it's all right. Everyone within that knows the Bears said, look, he's not what you think he is. I get that, but you look at Brian Urlacher, there's a leader. I look at Jay Cutler, and I just don't see it. But I'm not in it like they are. So if they say it, all right, we'll roll with that.
And I remember giving you grief when this all happened during the playoffs.
Oh, dude, I got hell for that.
Yeah, I know, because basically you're judging by just the video of what you saw on the sidelines. You didn't know what he was saying or who he was speaking with. You just saw him appear detached. But apparently that was not the case, as we found through further investigation when we were dissecting your...
I wasn't alone. I was alone on this show, but I wasn't alone around the country.
Oh,
that's
I mean,
for sure.
Hey, the bloggers were against you. Seth and I were against you.
Dane Noble was going to rip my head off.
Absolutely, yeah.
Go Bears.
See? I was wondering if we were going to get through this entire segment without Bears.
No.
I crawled back home after that show. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm a beaten man.
We did work you over pretty bad.
Yeah, you did.
And then we came back the next day and did it some more because we enjoyed it so much.
Just for fun, and I just wasn't ready